All right. People are filing in. We're doing it Thursday, October 17th. We're getting ready for a Celtic journey, if you will. Hello, Ruth. Hi. Um, I wanted to say a couple of words before we begin, because I think it's important to start with an honoring of tradition before we get into the Celtic tradition. The word smudge was in the title of this event. And it is a definite nod. But smudging is a cleansing practice that can be considered appropriation. There are also issues with the cultivation of certain plants and smudging materials, from unethical sourcing to thoughtless collection practices to overharvesting. And the bundle that came with your class today, if you purchased through shop stands, was ethically and thoughtfully sourced, benefiting the communities that tend to them. So we are very happy to support those communities. And I would recommend that you go learn more about the oppression and history behind these issues. We recommend visiting Indigenous-led organizations. Also, the National Institute of Health has an Office of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion that has a list of organizations serving those communities that you can learn more about this. And the goal of this class, let's say, Ruth, would be to honor those traditions with a nod, obviously, but we will be focusing on Celtic practices that cleanse, bless, clear, or create or remove enchantments, let's say, to be specific. But I'm not an expert. I don't, Ruth may be an expert, but both of us have a pretty amazing Celtic lineage between us, and we are both students of history and spirituality, and definitely not taking ourselves too seriously. So make sure that you are being safe in these processes. You don't hurt yourself. You don't.
Main thing is do not set fire to anything you're not meant to set fire to.
Please.
That's the main.
Yes. So let's enjoy this time together and make some magic. We'd love to hear from you in the chat. The chat is turned on. Q&A is turned on. Let's see. We'd love to hear where you're from. Amazing. Bavaria.
Yeah, and I would like to hear if you are like 1% Scottish, 2%, 3%, 9%, 26%, or like Rob, 78%. Who knew?
Who knew? Who knew?
I don't know. That's just for my own personal interest. Irish counts too. You're allowed.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, I have. Yeah, at the top of my page, my handwriting is terrible now. I think we were just discussing this. And for a second, I shocked myself because I'd written folk tradition, but it looks like something else. Yeah, no, we're being very respectful here. We're not saying F tradition. We're going to talk about folk tradition and Saining, which should be the Celtic version of smudging. I did a play a long time ago where I played Clementina Walkinshaw, who was Bonnie Prince Charlie's consort. And what I learned during that play was, and I love this, you know the song, I'm going to have to sing now. You take the high road and I'll take the low road and I'll be in Scotland for you. That song is about Bonnie Prince Charlie sitting in France near the river, near the water, sorry, and possibly his soldier love or person that he really cared about, saying to this other person, you take the high road, which would be over land or over water, and I'll take the low road, which means his spirit, he will die and his spirit will go under the ground, because that's what happens in Scottish folklore. It's not that the spirits are necessarily in the air, they're in the earth, in the ground, in the water, and all the things around us. So when you die, your spirit goes under the ground, back to where you were born. And he's saying, I'll meet you there in the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. And I can't ever say that story without getting goosebumps. So that's a little bit of insight into the animistic traditions or beliefs that a lot of Scottish or Celtic people had, where it's actually proven, I think, nowadays with physics, where particles are constantly passing through everything, and we know, plants are now more sentient beings than we ever thought, and all these objects have their own energy or essence. But to take it further, we would believe that there is a spirit, for example, inside your piece of amethyst that you received as part of your package. So I think I asked Charlie to send out a note to say, if you have an object or something, to bring it. But if you don't, you can use your amethyst. I have two more objects which have their own spirits inside them. Yeah, this one's a star. You can see it's a crystal. And this one was a gift. And this one symbolizes kind of power, strength to me. And this is to do with shining bright, perhaps in my career, something like that. So for me, these objects have some meaning. And we're going to be saining some objects, ourselves, the area around us today. Is everybody ready? I can't see you, but I think you're saying yes on the chat. Charlie's giving me a thumbs
up.
We've
got, yes, people are ready. And if you haven't gotten your package yet, that's okay too, because the things we're going to do today, you can watch us back also later, and you can also do stuff right now with where you are.
Absolutely. Thank you, Charlie, for your lovely introduction, as always. Now, when Charlie and I were organizing today, we picked the 17th because it's a full moon. So we're kind of mixing our metaphors, and there's going to be a bit of feng shui in here too. But we're going to use the full moon in Aries. I'm Aries, 29 degrees. You don't have to be in Aries, but it's an Aries full moon can be to do with new starts. It's a really powerful moon to manifest. It's about being a leader, perhaps leading this meeting just now, or being a leader in your own household or in your community, or voting for a leader. It might be the right day for you to vote if you've got your ballots in the mail, which I just got my first ever ballot because I just became a citizen last year. So I'm going to be doing that today. I'm going to be filling out my form. Hopefully you're all registered by now. I don't care which side you're voting for, just please vote, and today would be a good day to do it. Yes, today's the full moon in Aries. We've also got a conjunction between Venus and Pluto. So Aries can tend to be supercharged and dynamic and lots of good energy, a really good time to manifest. This Venus-Pluto aspect brings in love. Venus tends to always bring love and beauty, so that's a softening aspect. So what I thought today, what might be interesting for us to do, as well as seeing some of the objects round about us or ourselves, is also to start to think about what we might want to manifest with love, through love, under an Aries full moon. With the aspect of Venus and Pluto is powerful, but also it can be to do with bringing new love. It could be to do with bringing forgiveness or healing into a relationship. I'm thinking for myself, and you can choose whichever aspect of your life, that you want to manifest something in today, perhaps. I'm thinking of maybe a new acting job, something to film. That might be nice. I might not be doing any more of Dead Body Detectives. It doesn't look likely right now. So that's just a note about me. You all have your own things that you might want to manifest. So I'm going to be saining this star. Now, saining is different from, it's not quite cleansing. We're assuming there is a spirit inside this stone. And what we're doing is we're getting rid of any spirits that are not supposed to be there. We're allowing the full potential of the object itself to be present, and we're kind of inviting new spirits in, as we believe that everything around us has its own energy or spirit. So here's where the feng shui comes in. It's just a tiny little bit of feng shui. So I just found out recently that what you have behind your headboard on your bed is what you want to bring into your life. That's what you should have there, like a painting of whatever it is you want to have. Now, I have a window above my bed. So what you can do is, if you can't hang something above your bed, you can put it right beside your bed, on your bedside table. So I'm going to be putting this little star beside my bedside table as an emblem, and hopefully with the spirit of the, after the Saining, the clear spirit energy that can bring and manifest more what I'm asking for under this Aries full moon. Have you got all that? Because I know I'm mixing a lot of metaphors here. So I asked you all to bring a pencil and a piece of paper, because I sometimes like to write descriptions of what I want as if I have it already. For example, I am loving my new filming job. It feels so great to work with such talented people. I write down what it is that I'm longing to have, but I'm writing it down as if I already have it, describing to someone that cares about me how great the relationship thing is that you're asking for, or the financial stuff you're asking for, or the career stuff, or the health stuff, children, or whatever it is that you're asking for. Some people like to do it that way. Other people like to maybe draw, maybe you're more visual. And you just might want to draw a little picture of yourself with, a pile of $1,000,000 right beside your head, whatever it is that you want to ask for. So if you want just now, you can take your paper. I've got paper that matches my job. This, for some reason, this color really spoke to me today. And you can write down quite simply, just take a minute or two, or do a little drawing depicting or saying what it is as if you already have it. Okay, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Maybe I'll do some ballet for 30 seconds. You just write things down amongst yourselves. That's fourth position on Kwa. Try not to distract you. I want you to just take a moment for yourselves and write something. Maybe I'll just be quiet. Just You can also continue to do this after this hour. I'm scared to draw mine too quickly in case I don't know, it doesn't very well. Take my time later on. You were the full moon happened at 7:26 this morning. The Venus aspect comes in, I think, later on this evening around about 9 something, after 9 o'clock. So we're basking in the glow of the full moon. So you have time today to do this. It's not a bust if you don't do this minute. Okay, so with Saining, there are 3 elements that you can do it with. You can use water as an element. For example, you could go down to the bonny banks of Loch Lomond and dip yourself in. I'm sure it'd be rather chilly this week in Scotland if you were to do that, but you can go down to a river. You can let the river, for example, flow over your feet, and thereby saining yourself and cleansing yourself. And it makes me think a little tiny bit about baptismal water, said, which I'm sure has other meanings. But there are Celtic traditions where they do a lot of saining when there is the birth of a child. The other way of saining is with fire. And I'm scared to say this. I did say don't set fire to anything you're not supposed to. But, I have a little fire here. I have a nice, pure, lovely, bright, light candle. And one way of saining would be to, for example, put the object through the flame. That would be a way of saining. Now, I'm not going to risk my fingernails or my fingers particularly to do that, because the third way is what we have the equipment for, with our lovely bundles that Momentus and stands organized. And so the third way is with smoke. So I am going to, first of all, set fire to this carefully. I do actually have a fire extinguisher right over there in the corner. And I'm going to have to be careful with the smoke detector. Maybe I'll open the door. Give me a second, I will open the door.
Yes, here at Momentus, we do not condone the burning, throwing, hucking of things. Be careful. Thank you.
Be careful. Be careful. Now, I'm going to do this with some intentionality. I've got my amethyst, which I did kind of put through the flame as closely as I could. But now, with the sage, I've also got a nice holder here that is metal, so it won't burn, like it won't burn my wooden desk below. You can have fun with this. Rob believes it's bad luck to blow it out. He always waves it to stop. I don't know. I don't know if you agree, if you have the same idea or belief. I also just love the smell of Palo Santo. And did I mention, I think, in Scotland, a really common thing they would use to burn would be juniper. And you can really use anything, anything that speaks to you. What I would say is with the juniper, they would perhaps be inside a room, maybe with a newborn babe or with somebody who maybe had an illness or needed help. They would close the doors and essentially kind of smoke themselves out to the point where you've taken as much of the smoke as you can. I don't believe you have to do it that much, but and again, without trying to set off my smoke alarm, sage is burning. And I do this with my tarot cards as well, quite a lot, just to find some. I'm going to put my amethyst in the smoke, thereby sending away any negative spirits or spirits that are not meant to be in the amethyst, and welcoming in any helpful spirits and the pure spirit of the amethyst, which honestly starts to look a bit more purple and bright in my eyes. Yeah, and I have my other objects too. I have my tower, which symbolizes strength and fortitude for me, just to remind myself to always keep fighting and all that good stuff. And then my star, which I want to I have my star, which I want to shine as brightly as it can. And the lovely thing is, it's about the intentionality of what you're thinking, feeling, asking for. What you can also now do is have your drawing, your piece of paper, without setting fire to it. And you can run that through smoke too. To me, it's like it's purifying, it's boosting, it's enhancing. It feels quite nice. Oh, it feels quite good. Do you feel good? Do you feel good doing it? And then you can take it further. For example, this is my work desk that I'm sitting at. I'm not very good at working at my desk, I have to say. I kind of end up doing things all over the house. This is my prescribed area, but I'm not very good at staying in my spot that I'm supposed to. So I am going to say all of this, including you and my laptop. Maybe that'll help me come to my desk more and do more good work.
I feel like that was directed at me, Ruth. I feel like it was a little bit.
Yeah, I've got my tax return. That's good. Handbag. Yeah. What I love about I said the Scottish folklore and tradition is this belief that everything has its own energy, and what that automatically does, I think, is that it leads you to respect all of the things around you which are serving you. You know, I love that saying that if you only had today what you were grateful for yesterday, or what you acknowledged for yesterday, what would you have? And I think doing this practice allows you just to appreciate all the good spirits that are around you and available to you and everything you're doing. I even have a bottle of champagne here, a bottle of Perrier Jouet. That'll go down the hatch at some point. And my crystals. Yeah, having a rare tear here. Would anybody like to ask me some questions? What can I look in the chat, Charlie, or
Yeah,
do you read
so
questions in the chat?
got some, you can use the Q&A as well. That way we can see it because people are being
Oh,
chatty,
yeah.
which is great. So Megan asks, do you have a favorite crystal, herb, or other magical item?
I think I like different crystals for different times and different reasons. I'm very often drawn to citrine. I love smoky quartz. I like tiger's eye. It depends. This, for example, I got this actually. I think I got this at a supernatural convention in the vendor's room. Maybe one of you can tell me what it is. It's kind of beautiful. It's kind of greeny.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a little
Yeah.
shade aspect.
I remember what
Uh,
city it was. But yeah, I pick up little crystals everywhere, and I like to give people crystals. Um, this one was a gift for my birthday from my friend Georgia, and so yeah, to me, it's a bit of Georgia in it.
we've also got like Alicia asks, what happens when your candle won't light? Are we cursed?
I mean, well, so here's the other thing: it's a hunter's moon,
Yep.
as well as the Aries full moon, and the hunter's moon is actually about the change from summer into, well, from, would you say, fall into winter,
Yeah,
or
that season of moving
yeah,
toward the dark.
yeah, moving towards the dark. So maybe you're just ahead of the curve. Maybe
Oh,
that's what's happening.
early adopter.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. It's interesting when things like that happen, and um, it's not convenient, because we're just like, oh no, we just, get past it and light it. But actually, maybe there is a reason. Maybe you're meant to sit for a minute longer with it not lit and be with what is. I saw something, you see something, you're like, this is a good omen, this is a bad omen. And I tend to be quite the glass is half full. And so I tend to try and ignore the bad omens. I'm like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. But life is like this. And if you can take a bad omen, or like the tower card in a tarot reading or whatever it is, and be thankful, oh, this is just telling me the truth about something that's a challenge that will pass too, because nothing stays. And yeah, I had a little bit of a bad omen one time. It was a tiny. I love living in Los Angeles. It's nuts to me that in my backyard I have skunks, raccoons, coyotes, and lizards, hundreds and hundreds of lizards. And I give the lizards water, and they don't know who I am, they don't care. But I one time saw this tiny dead baby lizard, and I felt really sad about it. And I tried to ignore it, but it was not a bad omen, but I kind of, well, something that I had to deal with at that point, which did pass. And so maybe honor the fact that your candle isn't lighting. Maybe sit more in the hunter's moon and think more about what you have to release before you light the candle, to ask for something new. Maybe it's about letting go, because that's what the hunter's moon is good for. It's about slowing off more difficult things or more negative things that you don't want to take care of anymore. So thank you for that really, really good question.
Yeah,
Thanks for
good one, Ruth. Good pull on that intuition. There's a couple of questions too about Samhain, or for those who like to mispronounce it, Samhain.
yeah, but
Do you have any practices around Samhain? Are there any sort of rituals in that fall moment? I mean, there's obviously a lot of cultural significance around thin veil and
we call it Halloween as well, right? Or Hallows. And I was brought up, it was All Saints Day as well, which would be more Catholic, I suppose, version of it. I'm a little bit wary of it.
yeah.
I don't mess around too much. I do feel like the veil is thinner,
Yep.
so I'm cautious.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and even as far as celebrating it goes, I'm actually not the first to put my hand in the air to dress up and go out and do crazy stuff. I spend the rest of my year dressing up doing crazy stuff. So it's actually probably the one day of the year that I don't want to do that and want to do too much apart from maybe be quite quiet and let it pass and perhaps think of people who've passed. And I think of it as quite a holy day in that way too.
Yep.
Definitely not summoning anything on that day. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my
Good for you. That's it sounds wise and prudent. I think people often underestimate some of those moments. I had friends this year and last year in the eclipses, who sort of said, maybe stay inside, maybe don't participate, and maybe it's a bigger deal, and maybe it's not, but it's a
yeah.
big cosmic moment.
I follow two people. I follow a lot of people that do astrology and different things. I follow Teresa Reed, the tarot lady, and Eliza. I think it's Kelly. My baby brain's blanking, but they are very good at giving you a heads up about what moons are good to manifest on, which ones aren't, which eclipse season you stay away from manifesting. But today is a great day to manifest, and that was the reason we picked
Yeah.
today. So full throttle today. You're allowed.
Full
Good things will
throttle.
come.
Let's go. Yeah. Okay, good. Um, I mean, there's a couple of questions about the history of saining in general. I know, many cultures have sort of smoke cleansing practices extending way back, and the purpose of those vary from region to region and person to person, but they're all kind of centered in this burning materials or incense for various reasons. What would you say also? I mean, there's lots of materials that people use. Um, yes, yes.
Well, this is just a sidebar.
Yeah.
So in the UK in general, I would say so we have All Hallows, Halloween, and we also have on the 5th, just after it, remember the 5th of December, gunpowder treason and plot. And so we would always have a bonfire. We would kind of merge the two. You can't take 2 days off in Scotland, or you can't have 2 nights out in the same week, like 5 days apart. So I remember growing up, our family tradition was, because especially growing up on a farm, you have a lot of stuff gathered up from the whole year, and you have a massive bonfire. And there's just something incredibly primal about being around fire together, um, burn stuff, letting go of the old again, have fireworks and sparklers and bright things to lighten up the skies and bring in prosperous things and bring in the new season. So that's my personal experience of it, and yeah, I've got so many fond memories. I also there's stories about how when your gramophone was put, before people realized the value of some of the things they had, lots of things were on the bonfire. And obviously you have to do it very environmentally carefully,
Yes.
right? And don't burn things that you shouldn't be burning, or it will give off
Agreed.
toxic fumes.
Agreed. Yeah. And taking care of the plants we use, right? How they're cultivated, cutting versus pulling at the root, and we're running our hand through it to get the essence and leaving the plant be. Like, do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah, my mom has a large garden in her house, and she knows everything about all the plants and herbs and all of that. So I would always ask her, and there are some plants, you don't cut them, or you cut them in a certain place, or you do, separate a piece of root, or sometimes you just leave them the hell alone, and maybe it's that you have the plant.
Yeah.
One time
Tend
I
to
did a ceremony, and It was actually the paper that I'd burned, where I'd put in an invocation, something that I was asking for, and I planted the charcoal remains inside a plant pot that grew a vine at my front door. And the interesting thing I found about that was that the plant started to die and fade away as I was moving house, as I was moving away. So yeah, I think if you honor, don't just use them and abuse them. As we know that with crops as well as farmers, you have to have fallow years. You honor the plants, find out, work out what ones mean what to you, as and definitely different plants are available in different places. And I feel personally with using these plants, sorry, the Palo Santo and the sage that we're using right now that was ethically sourced. I'm on California land. I'm so happy to be here. It's a privilege to be here, and that perhaps there's a way of honoring the place that you are in, as well as your own personal history tradition.
Important, yeah. Another question real quick. Neve, great Irish name, by the way. What other practices do you swear by? I'm just getting into tarot after years away and forgot the things I did as a wee Irish kid. That connect to my roots. Happy selling. Yeah.
Yeah. I went through a phase of, I couldn't go a day without looking at them. I think I was a bit addicted. Yeah. You're searching for answers, or you don't quite have what you want, so you keep looking and looking and looking. I've gotten out of that because I do tarot readings now at in my witching hours at conventions, and so that kind of gets it out of my system. Yeah. I definitely do in the new year. I would say for me is probably the next big one, where I will definitely, and I get Rob to do too, write down what we want to let go of, what we want to bring in. We call it Hogmanay in Scotland, probably know that. And definitely, I got sent a whole kit actually last Christmas from Erica Alaura, who's a healer that I work with, who I love. And we did the whole kit in caboodle on New Year's Day, because there is something about it being the first and a new start, and that is definitely a tradition where, like many of us, we're trying to give up chocolate or whatever it is that we think is good for us. But no, I think that's one I definitely try and do every year. If not in the first, if I can, but as close to the first as I can.
Definitely. Suzanne asked, do you smudge the objects and paper with the intentions? Like maybe a little bit more color around that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and I think you can also, for example, talked about you using water, like going to water, but people also bring back water into their home. Maybe they're cleaning everything with the water, or the defrosted ice that's been, from somewhere that's special to them. And it's the intentionality of the cleansing that, to me, is everything. It's honoring and the intentionality. So yes, I would definitely use intentionality. That's what feels nice about it and it is like feng shui, really, where decluttering, cleaning, it's proven to be good for you, whether you're mystical or spiritual or not. It's a really healthy thing for the human brain to do. So I definitely bring in intentionality like that when Saining.
Yep. And we've got a couple more here, but let's see here. Can we talk a little bit about the moon? What are some good activities during such a full and transitional moon? Hunter's moon, for example. It's kind of inward.
I like to go out and howl at it.
Okay.
And no, I know you can. It's a really good time.
There's a werewolf confirmed.
It's a really good time to charge all of your crystals. Ideally, if you maybe last night you would have put them out, but again, not too late today at all. Put all your crystals out, or at least in the pathway of the moon. I have a floor area in my room where the moon is when it's clear in the sky, or just I know that the moon is there, and I will lay everything out. That's a nice thing to do under the full moon as well.
Yeah.
I was going to
Yeah.
say something else and I've forgotten what it was. No matter.
And some people were saying, journaling,
Oh,
sort of gratitude work and things.
that's what I was going to say. So when I was saying about write down having whatever it is you want as if you have it already. That was Maria Nemeth, who is a coach that I talk about. She's a clinical psychologist, PhD. She's much, much smarter than me and much, much more educated and everything else. So I'm just relaying some of the things she taught me. She got me to write her a letter. And this is a bigger practice that you can do maybe once a year to someone that it can be to yourself, to your future self, or to someone that you admire. And I have a letter that I wrote to her when I first got cast in Supernatural saying, I love filming so much, and it's so wonderful to keep asking my character back, and I'm being invited to conventions all around the world, and I wrote, as if it was already happening, and so I think there's a lot of power. The interesting thing I found out when I was doing that practice, and she did give me a document, and if I can find it, I will share it with Charlie. Is the important thing is to use descriptive words. Some people are more visual, some people are more auditory, some people are more kinesthetic, but using words that move you. So if you're more visual, using visual adjectives. If you're more auditory, hearing the applause, or hearing my bank manager say, or this is what my partner said to me that was so wonderful. Whatever it is, if you're more kinesthetic, it just felt so good. And in writing this letter, she gave me a document, and it had all the positive adjectives that she'd ever found. And there are so far fewer than negative. There are so many more words for pain, suffering, loss.
Yeah.
And so it's actually a practice in finding these words that identify the aliveness I feel when I'm doing X, Y, Z, and the excitement, and finding good words that when you read it, you are moved in some way, and you can see it, or you can hear it, or you can sense it. So I think that's a really powerful practice. And to do it today would be a great thing to spend more than the 30 seconds or whatever it was I gave you. And then definitely I would sign the paper, the pen, everything around it, and I would have that probably maybe framed beside my bed, something like that.
Amazing. Michelle asks, on Sawan and Beltana, I smudge and bless all my pets as well as the house and the car. Do you do anything special for pets or animals in your life?
Oh, we don't have pets just now. We had Lily, and she passed away a couple of years ago. I think if pet is in the house, and you make sure you don't smoke them out. But if you're cleansing your house, however it is you're doing it, I feel like they're probably included and probably really enjoying it. And I don't think there's any harm. Even your goldfish, you can just pass it lightly over the top of the goldfish. Well, don't put it under; he might heat them up too much.
Yeah, maybe be kind to animals. There's also a question again about Supernatural, which many know you for. Let me see if I can find it here. Sorry, it was there it is. Yes. Teresa says, did you always subscribe to sort of magical elements in your life, or did this come to you by way of the characters that you play? Like, where did the sort of rubber meet the road there?
Yeah, I've been given full permission to go full woo-woo. I was taught, like many kids, about religion, and I'm still doing it. I'll see if you can come in. My mum's mum, my nana, who is named after, her name is Margaret, passed away when I was 6 years old. I was very aware of what that meant, and that she'd gone to this idea of heaven, but that she was kind of around me or taking care of me. And I felt it very strongly from a really young age. And I never used to ask her for stuff because I didn't want to bother her. I just wanted her to be enjoying her spirit world or her spirit journey. That's how I thought about it. And I once asked her, twice I asked her for help. because they didn't want to bother her. And the 2 times I asked her for help, she came through. And so, and then I found out a long time afterwards, it was actually, I think, when we were doing the tea leaf meeting that we did. I remembered my great grandmother used to read tea leaves. And my grandmother, who was the most practical woman you've ever met, she ran a football team, she brought up 4 kids, she ran a haulage business, she was the real practical, sturdy Scottish woman. She also, it seemed very practical to her and animalistic and pragmatic and real, that she would have a sense about something being wrong with one of her kids, or she would have a sense about, and that wasn't woo-woo, or it was just, why would you not know that something had happened? You'd have a feeling about something or an intuition. And so that was a great kind of normalizer of it all for me, in which I think the world's kind of catching up now. I feel like in the last 10 years, things have changed from being a bit embarrassed to say, well, I had a tarot reading, to being like, everyone's like, I've got tarot cards. And I feel like that's happened literally in the last 10 years.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we're coming to the end here. Obviously Saining with materials native to you and your culture are the best here. Obviously, this is Celtic and there's Celtic traditions here, but it sounds like, Ruth, what you're also saying is it's important to establish your own connection with the plants that you use in these sort of rites and rituals, and educating yourself, learning about the other rituals and all that is great. Being intentional is really important to you. Are there any other sort of bits you want to share about your process, or what you really hope people take away from it?
I think it's good to be intuitive. I think it's good to follow direction, and definitely a stickler for rules. You definitely should do that, but it's also can be creative and fun, and you can suddenly think of something and add to it, and that to me is the beauty of it. And that's how all these things came about and were progressed. It wasn't just by everything staying the same. That would be my final.
Yeah, I learned a word recently that I thought was very interesting, which is sort of what you're talking about. And it's a kind of a weird big word, but it's called syncretism. It's the idea of combining elements of things that work for you and that feel true to you, whether they're separate and distinct, like you start to pull and say, like, this amalgamation works for me in this mixture, I think it's an interesting word.
The one caveat would be, sometimes you have to kind of honor as I said, the unpleasant things or the difficult things, too.
Yeah.
There is a reason to hold on to some of the rules and regulations, I suppose.
Yes.
Or inconvenient things,
yes.
like not manifesting during eclipses and things like that. It's like, sure. You'd be daft to try and be like, well, no, I want to just have a crazy life and see what happens.
Yeah, that is a good point. Ego can kind of run that and then make you think you are bigger than something that's bigger than you. And that's a dangerous spot to be in, as we all know. Hopefully everyone here. Yeah. Well, Ruth, thank you so much. Yeah. What great timing. This full moon, like Ruth said, is a great opportunity. Whether you're mystical or you're so practical, you can't be bothered with mysticism and intuition. This is a good reminder that today is a good day to be grateful, be intentional, think about the things that you want to call into your life, things you want to let go of. It's a great reminder, little moment.
Yeah, and I bet you some people have been, nudged. I bet you they remember, or they have some heritage or something from their past, or something from someone they know or culture they love. Hopefully they're encouraged to investigate more and see what's appropriate for them to use.
Yeah.
You're the best.
What?
No, I'm saying, I'm reading that somebody said you're the best. I'm like, no, you're the best. Thank you, Ruth and Charlie. Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, so this recording will be available later if you want to go back and take a little bit more time. You can slow it down and play it a little slower if you want Ruth's lilting voice in your ear a bit longer. So
just get more slowly.
Yep, much better than mine. But thank you all for joining us. We are going to be moving on to meet and greets. So if you have a meet and greet ticket, stick around right here. If you don't, I will be ejecting you from your seat as fast as possible. And please keep your arms and legs to yourself. Don't lick anybody on your way out. We would appreciate it if you kept to yourself. But thank you all. What a fun time. What
Thank
a
you. Yeah,
blast.
hopefully it made everyone feel a bit more witchy.
Oh, 100%. I feel 1,000% more witchy myself.